What's going down YouTube? Jared RedRacer video. I am really glad you guys are here with me today. Before I even get started today, guys, please go down, hit the like button, and be ready to get your fingers going because you guys are going to want to comment on today's video. Today we are talking about some drama, and we are going to be throwing some people under the bus. We are going to leave names out of it, but we are going to dive right into it today. Worst case scenario, got a guy that I'm in contact with that I talked with through Instagram, took his Camaro for a single, it's a 6th gen Camaro, took it for a single turbo build, and this dude got taken to the cleaners. He just did worst case scenario, totally got hosed. And I got a special treat for you guys today. My good friend Jack from the Determined Veteran is with me today. So today is my first collaboration video. So without further ado, I'm going to let Jack jump in here, introduce himself, and then we're going to dive into the beef. So Jack, you want to jump in and tell everybody about your channel?
Absolutely. Hey everybody, my name is Jack from Determined Veteran. Let me give you a little background. After a career in the military, I was medically retired for some injuries I received on deployment. So I am a fully disabled veteran on Social Security disability as well. I started my YouTube gig about real seriously in March, and we're currently doing a build on a 2018 Camaro ZL1, and we're chasing power right now. And I started following RedRacer video because I'm into 6th gen Camaro content, and we've just become friends after that. So if you are into that type of stuff and you think you want to give me a follow, my links will be in the description below, and just check out the channel. Like I said, we're in the infancy of building our channel, but we're growing steadily every day. And thanks, Jared, for letting me be on the program today. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to talk about.
You and me both, man. I appreciate you being here. This is my first collab. I'll be honest with you guys, I've kind of stumbled and bumbled my way through this. Jack and I have actually recorded this once before. Got it all done. Took like 2 days to edit it all. My computer wouldn't cooperate. This is me and Jack's second, or this is our third time. Third time recording this. So
yeah, third time's the charm.
Your patience. Yeah, I appreciate you being patient with me, but I'm really glad to have you along. And real quick, I want to give a plug for your Jack. I don't want to get long-winded, but Jack's channel. The reason Jack and I started talking, I watch his channel, and the biggest thing I feel like I struggle with, guys, is camera presence, confidence behind the camera. And I watched Jack's channel, and like he said, his channel's a lot newer. He's at, I think you just hit 300, right? You just went over
300 plus now, yeah.
Nice, congrats, man. But Jack at 300 video or 300 subscribers, in my opinion, is already a lot better behind the camera as far as confidence and delivery. So go watch his channel. I think you guys would like what this guy's doing. He does a lot of his own installs. I do not do that. So if you guys that come to my channel learn how to do stuff like that, you know that's not my thing. So go check out Jack for that. But with that being said, Jack, you ready to do this?
Man, all I can say real quick, I don't want to get too long-winded. I wouldn't come for expert opinions or installs on my channel.
Expert might be...
Yeah, expert. Yeah, if you just want to have a common sense approach to things and learn how to work your way through a problem, I'm your guide, man. But seriously, yeah, let's get into this, man, because I can't believe what happened to this poor boy. I'll tell you what, man.
Are we going to piss some people off, Jack?
You know, pissing off people is part of my specialty. That's what I'm an expert at. So.
Well, you and me both. So we are going to leave names out of it. We are not going to use names. I think a lot of the people in the 6th gen community may or may not know. Not a lot of people, but there are some people out there who are going to know what we're talking about or who we're talking about. But I didn't really feel, and Jack didn't feel like it would be appropriate to slander anybody or to jump in the middle of it. And there's also a kind of a legal thing happening too, so we got to be careful about what we say there. So what we're going to do real quick, I'm going to kind of just as quickly as I can lay down the timeline for you guys, and then I'm going to let Jack jump in and kind of give me his thoughts on maybe some things that could have gone differently, or maybe what his thoughts are as far as what the shop did right, what the customer maybe didn't do right, or just, you know, kind of where we're at that way. So real quickly, and I say real quickly very facetiously because you guys know that nothing about me talking is real quick, but we're going to try. The timeline is basically this. This gentleman goes on the Camaro forum. He's got a 6th gen, I don't remember what year it is, 17, 18, 16, don't remember. But he wants a turbo build. He'd been watching my stuff for a while. I don't know if I was the reason he wanted to do turbo, but I know he had been following me on Instagram and stuff, had been messaging me for a while. He told me before the car even went down there that the car was going to be going down for a turbo build. I love watching this stuff, guys. I mean, I'm a consumer on YouTube almost as much as I'm a producer, and that's probably something I got to switch the course on a little bit and produce more and consume less. But I love watching this stuff. I love learning this stuff. So he's been talking to me, going back and forth. Finally finds a guy that he feels like he wants to do it. He sent me a message and was like, "Hey, I've looked into this guy. What do you think?" I didn't do a whole bunch of homework or anything, but I went to the guy's Instagram page, and you know, he's got a bunch of, you know, late model GM stuff. It looks like he kind of knows what he's doing or whatever. And the reason this gentleman found the guy, he was actually on Camaro 6 for him. So he went online, thought he was doing his due diligence, found some people that recommend, actually not some people, it was a guy, I think one guy, that just said, hey, he did a turbo build on my buddy's car, it's legit, go check him out. So he calls the guy, gets in touch with him, conversation back and forth is really good in the beginning. They kind of discuss some different options, and they finally settle on single turbo build, doesn't want to do internals, doesn't want to upgrade, doesn't want to get carried away just yet. Their goal was really only like 500, 550 wheel horsepower, and even though the LT1 pistons are glass and the rods don't appear to be super designed for boost, that sounded like something was pretty realistic. So the dude gives the guy like 4 G's up front, I think, takes the car down. Like every other scenario, it seems like when cars go to the shop, it starts to get like the communication's not quite as good once the car's down there. But he's still doing okay, you know, still getting back to him in a fairly timely manner. Anyways, fast forward a little bit, the car gets done. The guy goes to pick his car up, and this is honestly like the bad stuff happened, and Jack can attest to this. I mean, the bad happened at like the word go. He pulled up to get his car. The gentleman who runs the shop was not there. He told him that going into it. He said, I won't be able to be there when you pick it up. But he got there, went to go leave, and his hood was popped. He couldn't get his hood to latch, so he has to call this guy, and he's like, hey, what's up with my hood? And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, you gotta like stick a screwdriver in, and like I don't know what he had to do, but he basically had to manipulate the hood latch to get his hood to even latch. So from there, it was basically all downhill, guys. And there's a lot of details. I'm gonna try as best I can not to get way off on him, because me and Jack made this before, and this video got like, what was it, 4 days long or something like that. So me and Jack are talkers. We were talkers. So it got a little excessively long, but essentially from that point on, it was all downhill. The guy sent me a message that day on Instagram and just said, hey man, I'm sketched out. The car doesn't run that great. It doesn't feel that fast. On the bottom end, it feels terrible. When I go into throttle, it's falling on its face, running really poorly. I'm kind of worried, man. What should I do? You know, and I don't even know where this gentleman lives, but I know he's not anywhere near me. I can't really help or do anything with it. You know, and honestly, I probably wouldn't be the guy to help him anyway, aside from referring him to some people that I know would take care of him. But a couple days go by. It might have been a week at the most, but it wasn't very long at all before this gentleman's car doesn't run at all. Got it to a shop, and I'll leave that shop's name out of it, but it is in some at least more competent hands, I know for sure, than it was before. But they start tearing stuff apart, starting to trying to find out what's going on, and he essentially lost an engine. So a couple 100 miles, 300 miles after having all this work done, he lost an engine. So by that time, he had paid the rest of the bill. I want to say he had paid, you know, just shy of $7,000 for the build, and now he's got a car that's a paperweight, and it needs an engine. Really quickly, kind of on the things that we know went bad. One thing is that once he started tearing everything apart, the manifolds and the tubing and everything that had been welded was just absolute hack city. We got a lot of pictures, so I'm going to roll some of these through as we go. But all the welds were terrible. They left a bunch of like debris. I don't know what you call welding debris and grinding and stuff. But there was tons of stuff left inside of piping that then made its way into the cylinders, and we'll show those pictures here. But we essentially have... Oh, and there's one more thing. He was supposed to get a Borg-Warner turbo, and he's definitely got like some eBay turbo on his car. So he's got an eBay turbo, terribly, I mean just god-awful parts that have been manufactured by this guy in-house. And he's got an engine that doesn't run. So it was tuned like crap. It didn't run good. The engine was falling apart the day he picked it up. His hood latch didn't work. He was lied to about the turbo that he bought. So again, in the spirit of trying to be fairly quick here, he essentially went and contested the charges that he had already paid to this guy, and I don't know the ins and outs of how this worked. I don't know if it was PayPal, credit card, or what, but he got his money back. So he's now got his money, and this shop is now going after him for damages, or for taking his money back, and I'm pretty confident he's actually going after the shop now for damages, because he's got a bunch of parts he doesn't want to use and can't use, and he's got a car that doesn't run at all. So he still needs to buy a good turbo, still needs to have all the piping, everything done, still needs the car to be tuned, and he needs an engine. So that's the scenario. It really is as bad as that. We are not making this any worse than it is. So with that, guys, real quick, before we even get to Jack, go down in the comments. I want to know what you guys think right now. Have you guys heard of stuff like this happening? How do you maybe think people should have handled it? And with that, I'm going to jump into Jack here. Jack, you tell me. I mean, have you heard of any scenario where somebody got hosed this badly? And maybe, I mean, what are your thoughts? What would you say about the way this played out for this guy?
Well, I can tell you as a former senior leader in the Army, I had multiple times where soldiers bought the hot car and spent all their money getting it fixed up because they're living in the barracks. They don't have a garage to work on anything. Occasionally we'd all go mess around the motor pool, but I've seen this before in the past, and I always told my soldiers, and I tell everybody now, if it seems too good to be on the pricing, because the turbo kit should cost you, $7 to $9 grand.
Just for the kit, right?
Yeah. So
and that's in line. My kit was $8,500. I got 2 turbos, but still, I think Jack's pretty spot on there with pricing.
And so digesting this story over the last week and a half, we've talked about this, Jared. One thing that's come to mind, I'm in that portion of my build where I'm chasing power in the ZL1. And everybody's like, well, why would you chase power in a ZL1? Well, unfortunately, it doesn't have enough power for me. So we are in that process right now, and videos will be coming out. But the lesson that you apply from this story is you need to vet these shops, right? You need to see what they've done before, what kind of work they've done in the past, different cars they've done, and speak to at least 1 to 3 different shops and ask the shops about each other. So, right now, like I said, I'm in the process of chasing power. I'm wanting to do some builds to my car and install some parts and get a tune. And I've already talked to one tuner in the area. I'm talking to another one tomorrow after, I go to the Chevy dealership and see the new C8 Corvette pull out. But anyway, take this, guys and gals, take this as a lesson. Obviously, this individual is in a hurting situation, right? And just to clarify too, and I know Jared and I have talked about this, if you're going to do a radical build on your car, right? Make sure if you're going to do it, you can afford it, 1, and 2, have a backup car just in case that car goes down and you're not stuck like Chuck with a broke car. Again,
and
I know
he's definitely bumming rides now. So
yeah, so and I'm not saying anything else, but again, I look at it this way, and as a devil's advocate, everyone's trying to make money in the world. I think everyone's honest. I think that the shop, the installer, and I use that loosely, that possibly they got over their head, or a lot of times you'll see these cheap build kits that come out, and unfortunately you pay for what you get, and I'm not a big fan of turbo. That's for another discussion another day. I'm a supercharger guy, but yeah, I know I'd rather be blown. So so that's what this is. But guys, just take this as a lesson. We're not going to belabor it, but definitely my heart goes out to them. I think the shop has serious liability in this situation, because it would appear to me after the 200-300 miles he drove, Jared, there was no oil. You know what I mean?
Dry. So dipstick came out dry. Came out dry when they checked it.
Came out drier than the woods in South Texas here where I live. So guys, just be leery of this, man.
Piggybacking off something you said right there too, and I think Jack makes a good point. There are a lot of shops that, guys, like Jack said, this is kind of a gray area. When you start to modify these cars, and I talked about this a little bit in a previous video, but when you guys start to modify these cars, even with the best people on the planet and with the best parts on the planet, stuff does happen. I mean, we're taking these cars, and depending on the scenario, we're making 2, sometimes 3 times the designed amount of power that all of these parts and all of this stuff is designed to take. So even if you don't get somebody who's a complete shyster, I mean, look at my scenario. I had qualified people working on my car. I may not love them right now, but I think they're qualified, and we still ran into snags. You've got so many different balls that are in motion. You've got parts manufacturers. You've got everything. The people installing the car. Then you've got the guy tuning the car, and then you've got what's the determined or what's the intended use for the car. Because if you're going to road course the car, you are hard on stuff. If you're going to drag race the car, you're hard on stuff for shorter periods of time, but there is nothing harder on your car than launching it full throttle from a stop. I mean, that's about as as rough as you get. So even if you have somebody qualified working on a car, stuff like this happens, and you've got to expect stuff like Jack talked about. There should be a contingency plan. Having said that, I don't feel like that's what we're talking about in this scenario. I think that by default, I try to, I believe in our justice system, and I believe in the presumption of innocence until guilt can be proven. But I think guilt was definitely proven in this case, in a number of ways. The fact that his hood latch didn't work and he didn't tell him, and he had to find that out when he picked it up, that to me was a big red flag. That's like, dude, tell me about that before I get there. Then he's got the whole no oil thing, which okay, maybe you messed up or whatever. But the fact that he told this dude he was getting a Borg Warner turbo and he's got a Chinese choo-choo boy on his car, that right there is just deceptive. I mean, at that point, and guys, I'm never going to be the guy that's like, oh, go sue these guys. I don't believe in that. I really don't. I think you should always give people the opportunity to do the right thing. And I think that the majority of people, given the opportunity, will do the right thing. Your first conversation may not go well. I've had fights with my shop that built my car, and there was conversations that we had were up front that, I mean, it was bad. It was like, we're never talking again, screw you, and we're out. And then after, you sleep on it or whatever, next day or two, you guys have the conversation and you kind of work your way toward the middle. So I believe in being that person, but this scenario right here, just this guy got boned. He got boned diddly. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And now he's sending the guy mean messages on Instagram, threatening to have his lawyers go after him. He's not saying, hey, give me my parts back, sorry your engine blew up. He's basically just telling the guy, you were boosting the car, you knew shouldn't have been boosted, and that's why we had this problem. This guy's engine failure and this guy's problems have nothing to do with the fact that the LT1 is not a boost-friendly engine. The LT1 is not an engine I would buy and go and put a bunch of boost through. Having said that, trying to make 500 or 550 wheel out of that car, that's fine. That car will hold 550 wheel all day long, if it's tuned correctly and if the parts are good and if you didn't leave a bunch of metal in the intake piping that's going to run through the engine. So,
let me say this real quick. Even with a quality install, right? My rule of thumb's a little bit different. Jared's got that go fast car, and that's what we all love about RedRacer video. That car is bad to the bone. Where I have a little bit different scenario. I want to go fast, but I want it to be reliable fast. And I want to make sure
I'm moving that direction.
And I want to make sure that when I have a car that I can take it on the streets and play with it and everything else. Because again, maybe it's the old Army in me, military. Always had that contingency plan. But I think Jared, man, you've summed this up so well, man. Like it's just insane, and I just can't even say anything more about it. It's just very unfortunate, and something very important for our car community to understand when we're going into these builds. This is deplorable, man.
And one other thing that kind of I want to say two more things real quick here. One thing is that this dude never gave the guy a dyno sheet. He told him it made like 550 wheel, but he couldn't find the dyno or whatever. He finally did supply him with a dyno sheet that looked like super generic and like almost photoshopped. It did not look legit whatsoever. So that was one of the things I forgot to key in on. So if you guys think we're being hard on this dude, we're really not. Like, me and Jack have talked at length about how we go about this so that we're not just, I don't want to look like we're out to get somebody, but my feelings wouldn't be hurt if this dude never got another piece of business again based on the way he's handled this. But Jack hit on something. When Jack said to talk to people about the car, I don't feel like the customer, and obviously hindsight is 20/20. We could give this guy a hard time and say, man, you should have done more research, you should have done your due diligence. And I mean, obviously in hindsight, he would probably say the same thing. He would probably say, yeah, I probably should have done more research. Having said that, guys, do all of the guys in the car community a favor. This is not just Camaro guys, Corvette guys, Mustang guys. This is everybody. Don't go repping people online unless you know they know what they're doing. Even if he's your buddy, even if he's your best friend. If he can't turn a wrench, don't go tell people he can turn a wrench. Mm-hmm. That's like one of the biggest things I have on this channel, and my biggest struggle. I've had four different people who have come to me wanting to represent their shop or their product. And all 4 times to this point, they haven't been people I've wanted to rep. They've been people that, it's not to say I didn't like the people, but I wasn't comfortable putting my name on the line for these people. I just wasn't. And looking back at that, that's I think the thing that almost frustrates me the most. The person I feel like I'm most upset with, maybe not most upset, second most upset with in this scenario is the guy on Camaro 6 forum that jumped in and told this dude, hey, this guy knows what he's doing, give him a call. That guy screwed this dude. He went on your recommendation, he listened to you, and he went and spent $7,000, and now he has a big pile of crap, and he's got thousands of dollars ahead of him to even get the car where it works.
This is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I can't even say anything more, man. This is a damn shame here. Just a damn shame, but
stuff's gonna happen no matter what. Just please be careful about what you rep. Please be careful telling people that people are up for stuff. This guy he's screwed. This is not like a life-changing scenario, but this is a huge problem for somebody right now that could not have been maybe easily avoided, but definitely could have been avoided. So I'm looking at my time, and me and Jack are already longer than we promised ourselves we would be. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jack. Jack, is there anything else you want to say? Anything else that you feel like we missed before we wrap this one up and end our first collaboration together?
hopefully get the edit right this time. No, I'm good, man.
Yeah,
this is we did it. So no, let's wrap it up, man.
Okay, sweet. Well, in that case, guys, like we said before, if you like this video, please go down and hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, go down and hit like anyway, and jump into the comment section and tell me and Jack what we did wrong. But Jack, I want to thank you very, very much. I really appreciate you doing this with me. I appreciate you being my first collaboration. I appreciate everything you're doing on YouTube. I saw you go over the 300 mark the other day. That made me really happy. I sent you a text, and you killed it last week, man. You produced a lot of content last week, so nicely done. And you definitely give me somebody to inspire or to aspire to. I see your work ethic, and I see you pushing and finding the time to get this stuff done, and it surely motivates me to want to get more and more stuff out. You know, this YouTube game is a lot different, and Jack, you could maybe attest to this a little bit. This is a lot different than you think. Going in, it's like, oh, it's a piece of cake. I upload videos, blah, blah, blah. Works out great. It's not like that. There's just so many variables.
If you're not humble before you start YouTube, you will be humbled, or you will just quit and just be an ass, you know. But on my side, guys, I just want you to know I've enjoyed this process today, and I'll leave you with my little saying at the end of each video, that the DV doesn't stand for disabled veteran, it stands for determined veteran. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you down the road.
All right. Same here, guys. You guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, make sure you leave some comments. We love feedback. It helps us guide the direction of the channel, and I appreciate everything you guys have done for us at this point. I'm going to go jump on the computer. I'm going to get this one edited so we can throw it up. Jack, one more time, thank you, my friend.
Yeah, man.
See you guys in the next RedRacer video.
Later.